Centaurs, half man, half horse. We discussed them before in great length about their anatomy. Not that part of their anatomy. Actually, we kind of glossed over that bit. And we had a good time. We learned a lot of things. It was a whole process. We worked through it together. Lovely. But then somebody asked me about the origins of centaurs, and I gotta admit, I didn't know. Now there's a lot, and there's nothing really definitive, and I could go into the history of why man created centaurs as a mythological being in the first place, and I think I will in another video. Today we're going into the mythological origins of centaurs, specifically in Greek mythology. As a warning with Greek mythology, I think if you're going into Greek mythology at all, you should always have that basic understanding. There is going to be some not niceness regarding the taking of women against their will thing, and I will try to be delicate with it, but delicate is not necessarily inherent in my nature, so I'll try. So there are two main tales in the origin of centaurs. You have one for Chiron, the kind, benevolent, wise teacher, and the other for centaurs as monsters, because actually in Greek mythology, centaurs ain't nice. They aren't the stargazing, slow-speaking, wise wonders of a certain person's storytelling. They're vicious and bestial and, ooh, they naughty. So the story of Chiron. This is the story of the nymph Philyra and the titan Kronos. Kronos, god of time, king of the gods, you know, big guy. In this story, Kronos fell in lust with the nymph Philyra and decided to, pursue her against her will. In order to escape his advances, she changed herself into a mare. In order to pursue his advances, he changed himself into a horse. And, you know. In another version of the story, it's completely consensual. Philyra and Kronos having a good old time, good old roll in the hay, and his wife shows up. And in order to disguise himself so he doesn't get caught, he transforms himself into a horse, during completion. And that's gotta suck. Can you just imagine you're having a good old time with a regular piece and then suddenly, boof, horse? Anyway, regardless of which story you have heard or believe, Philyra ended up pregnant with a horse child, a centaur, and was horrified by it. It had not been seen before. This was clearly a monster, so she abandoned it, not wanting it. At this point, Artemis and Apollo decide to take that child as their own. They raise this half-horse, half-demigod baby to be wise, and they teach it to hunt, and they teach it to read, and he becomes this wise teacher who himself marries a nymph, and they have little centaur babies. Now that's the nice story. The other one involves Ixion, and I believe is actually the first murder ever noted in Greek mythology. His story is that he married a woman and did not want to pay the dowry, so the father of his new bride, rather upset, steals his horses. Ixion, not liking that this guy's taking any revenge and not taking the "I'm not giving you any money" for an answer, decides to throw his father-in-law into a bed of hot coals, killing him. The town kicks him out. He's gone. Bye-bye. Man, that sun is really coming in on my eyeballs. So Zeus, taking pity on him, brings him along to Mount Olympus, says, "Come along with me. I get it. You're fine." But Ixion made the mistake of flirting with Hera. Now Zeus, not particularly keen on flirting with his own sister wife, definitely not keen on anybody else doing it. So he created this sort of test for Ixion. Ixion woke up to a beautiful Hera sitting by his bedside. But of course it was not Hera, it was Nephilim, a cloud turned into the likeness of Hera to test Ixion's lust. So when Ixion woke up, saw Hera, went, yes, and proceeded to, take her in a manly way. Zeus pulls a whole "I gotcha" move and decides to bind Ixion to a flaming wheel in Tartarus for all eternity. As it's a good punishment. It's solid. It works. But Nephilim, she was pregnant now with a hideous child. This child, now some people say that the child had the body of a horse and the head of a man, but most people kind of agree that it was just a really heinously ugly child, like humpbacked and disfigured and all that fun stuff. And in true Greek tradition, they cast him out. This dude's name was Centaurus, and he went to go live on a mountain far away from anybody who would have to look at him. But you know who did have to look at him and deal with him? Horses. Lots of horses. Lonely guy. Horses. We end up with a race of centaurs. So there. Those are the two mythologies of the origin of centaurs. Love your faces, and if you have any other questions, you let me know. I'm not a professional. I'm just a nerd. Have a beautiful day.